We are early.
Radical acceptance. Thank you for joining, Jeff Newman. I just want to first start by saying Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. This happens to be the last show of Radical Acceptance for 2022. And I am like shivering with sadness because I'm excited about 2023, but not knowing what the future holds, it's kind of scary. So if you're scared at times with your life, with your situations, just raise your right hand. I see you guys out there, but I want to also just mention, take out a piece of paper and a pen, because if there's something that you want to write down and remember, that's the only way that I know how to do it, and it makes sense, so you can ask questions to our guest. Our guest is incredibly talented. And I had her on like 2 years ago, and we had I don't know how to express it, an incredible sit down and discussion. So without further ado, I will introduce our guest, Victoria Christensen. Welcome to Radical Acceptance, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jeff. And I am completely humble about your introduction. I don't deserve it. I don't know if I am so wonderful, but you are wonderful when you see those values in other people. And I would like to say that I am also very excited to be the last guest in your program in 2022.
Well, so you're welcome.
On opposite of you, I am very excited because I live always on the now. So right now is beautiful. Tomorrow we'll see. I don't worry. Worry is a waste of time, Jeff.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell your audience just a little bit about your background, where do you live? I mean, where you living is incredible. I think the audience would love to know what part of the world you're actually talking from.
I am right now sitting in my living room in Oslo, Norway, in the North Hemisphere of Europe. And today is not so cold, it's 1 degree Celsius, but we had for 3 days ago -15.
Oh, okay. I tell you.
So it's quite exciting. The world, just there is a miracle, you know. Some places are going to beaches and others are going to snow. So wonderful.
That's wonderful. So how do you help people, Victoria, or what do you do with your community, with possibly family, yourself, as far as maintaining a health standard, both mentally and physically? What works for you and maybe the people you speak with?
Well, Jeff, I am a psychotherapist and I work with people all the time. That's how I make my living. But more than the career now is a way of living, like you say. So who I am affects everybody around me. My family, my children, my neighbors. I would say something very personal. I had a little dog that died on the 14th of December.
Oh,
And
sorry to
you
hear
don't
that.
imagine how many neighbors, people that just know me from the streets, and they saw that my dog was on the end of the days, and they came with flowers, with chocolate, just to say I'm sorry and to give me some love. And that is not normal in Norway. Yeah. I know that in the States, I've been living in the States, people are much more open, but not here. And that is an example that what you give, you receive. So correct. How do I help people? Well, I try to be honest and authentic with myself and be always in contact with my heart. And just with being in that state of mind, I help a lot of people. That is from the private part that you asked me, how do I, and well, in the community, I am doing a lot of charity work, and I am working with the Red Cross, with what is called in English, the
Well, Red Cross charity,
It's a charity, yeah. To people
donations.
that they are lonely and alone and all people, and I visit them and I go
Right,
with cakes and foods and things like that. But the main change that I see is with my clients, and it's so rewarding, when you see people that are coming completely down and then they get a life.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I want to just step back a little bit because something that you had said really triggered me to write it down. You had mentioned, I mean, I'm sorry for the loss of your dog. I just rescued a 2-year-old cat. So now I have a cat. Yeah, it's really
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
You were talking about environment, how the environment maybe affects not only humans, but animals as well. But you went on to say something about giving, giving to others and making them important in a sense, giving them significance. I call that contribution. Now, contribution is one of our human needs, one of our 6 human needs. And that goes back many, many decades. It's like certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. I know for a fact, and maybe you can experience this and react to this, on how does contribution play a role in growing both personal, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial? How does that help? Or is it part of it, or is it not?
Absolutely. I like very much how you get all the aspects that makes our life, right? Because I put it in another way because we see things from different angles and all of them are properly. And contribution, of course, for me is, well, I will say what I will start much more back if you let me.
No,
And it's
sure.
when we
Sure.
are children, the main need that we all have is to be accepted or to belong, right? Belonging is number one, because we can live without acceptance and without love, but if we are does not belong someplace, we die. Right?
Right.
So that is the main one. And that makes that many of us create a false idea of how we have to be or what we have to do to be accepted, not to be abandoned. And then we create an ego image. And
Right.
that's why I prefer to use another word than contribution. It's completely correct, of course, because we have to contribute. But I see it more than when we go beyond the ego learnings and we start to again back to our origin, that is actually we are just, I'm sorry, somebody's calling me. I'm sorry. That
No, it's
we are
okay.
just pure light, pure essence, consciousness, right? The
Right.
more that we go close to that, the more that we comprehend that it's not separation. That's separation is an illusion. And when
Right.
we are not separated, we absolutely have to just contribute, because what you are suffering from or what you are lacking from, it also reflects on me. So I see it more like that it's a way of living. It's the only way of
Yeah.
existing, actually,
Yeah.
in consciousness.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I
mm,
call giving for
I will
me.
just say to her that please wait, because I am.
Yeah. Do go.
It's one of these old ladies that I am working, and she's 89. So if I don't answer, she gets like this,
Yes, take care of the 89-year-olds.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
because
audience, we're
she's
taking a
wondering.
little short break here.
She's wondering what is happening with me.
Okay, we're taking a short break and we're going to come back.
No. It's just I just sent it in WhatsApp. I said
No,
I am
that's
working.
fine.
Okay.
So I want to just step back and go back, circle back, however you want to phrase it, to the contribution part of my life. Okay, because when I contribute over and above my successes, right, I get more fulfillment. The word fulfillment, I feel more fulfilled, which
Of
is
course.
a spiritual type of feeling. Okay.
Yes.
Our normal feelings are what that we need every day are our certainties, our uncertainties, our significance, and our love and connection. But growth and contribution are spiritual needs. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is when I contribute, I become fulfilled. Now, I want you to listen to this, Victoria, and maybe give us a little background on how you feel about it, even though I may know, is success. When I say success without fulfillment is the true definition of failure. Because for me, if I'm not fulfilled, I could be happy, but if I'm not fulfilled deep inside, then that is it's almost like failing. Even though I don't believe in failure, it's not getting a feeling of accomplishment for me. What do you think about that? I know a few other people had remarked.
Yes, that's what I said, that you use that way, that word fulfillment, and I use the way of giving, because the only way of existing completely in consciousness is just being connected, right? So if I
Correct.
am connected with somebody, I always are giving, and that you said that is, what is it that you say, contributing.
Yes.
And the fulfillment, I think it comes when I live completely in joy, in contact with my true love, that I cannot stop to just feel that my success is when I see other people happy.
Right.
And that gives enormous satisfaction, because you and me are together. We are one. So
Yeah.
your happiness is my happiness. Nobody can be truly happy or successful when it's a misery with the others.
Right.
Apparently, I will say that it's an illusion, but it's not a deep feeling of success.
I love that. You say illusion. I say we are all living in a perceptual illusion. I've used those two words many, many times. So do you think there's a misconception out there in the world of what people do or how they look at themselves? Maybe not, they're not accomplished and they feel they have to keep up. They have to bring in more and do more and have more, as opposed to feeling good and happy or content or fulfilled with what they have. I mean, you mentioned ego before. Do we really care about what other people think? Do we need an ego?
The ego is the part of I will say it in, not to talk so ambiguous. If we go to the body, because we have the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the feeling part, right? The emotion part, and of course the energetic, and that is the person while we are living, while we are here in this life, in this time. But the ego, I would say that is the mind memory of the experiences that we have been afraid of when we were small.
Right.
That is my definition. I don't say it's correct, right? So it is implanted because it's a memory. So I would say that to be completely free and happy, and how you are asking me, do we need the ego? Absolutely no. We have to declutter our mind. We have memories, but we cannot leave these memories and the fear. And when we have a clear mind in silence, in contact, then we don't need the ego. The ego is just is ignorance. This something. It was like you say, if somebody shout to us when we were 2 years old, the muscles do like that. It goes a signal to the brain, and then it stays there.
Correct. Yeah.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Right. So we have to clear our mind, is what you said. Also in mental health, that's what I need to do, is clear my mind when I go into a state of depression or anxiety. But so my question would be, what type of coping skills? How do you clear your mind? What do you do? How do you do it to clear your mind and then teach somebody else?
That is the 1 million question, right? And I am very used to that. The people remember, Jeff, that before the sun comes up every day is when the night is darkest. What do I try to say? When we are really, really depressed is when we don't see any way out, right? And most of us, you remember in my sitting with you for 2 years ago, that most of my time I was very depressed, and I always was thinking, why should I not die? I wanted to die, but I was afraid to take my own life. So that's why I didn't do it. And well, I came out of it, but I know very well how it feels. And that you are calling depression and anxiety and your mind, that is a very easy way, and it's a lot of techniques. But before we can use these techniques, we have to make a decision. And a decision is something that you say, no more, 30. I mean, if you are hungry, you can go hungry many days until you say, this is not the way, I go and eat, right? So it's the same. How long do you bother to be depressed? It's up to you. Many people don't, I mean, they don't manage, and many take their lives, we know. But if you, in my case, I was mommy for the second time. And then that was the turn point. I said to myself, now I am 35 years old. I have another child and they deserve a mother. And that I didn't know what to do, but without knowing, I started to do the right things. And it was going for long, long walks. I mean long walks on the woods or in the beach, about 3 hours every day. And then I was in silent, not contemplating my thoughts, because I was tired of that rooming in my head.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's little by little, because that's one of the things. After you have made the decision, get help, so you can start to understand what is this coming from. And like I told you before, depression actually is ignorance of who we are. You press down your grandiose soul. You are light, right? So you need help to understand that. And when you understand that, still the thoughts are coming, and this is like waves that take us down, right? But then you get some other helps, like techniques, physical, eat well, long walks on the nature, silent, learn to meditate, make exercises, yoga, mindfulness, make things that they are just joyful. I remember at that time, it was the movie Mamma Mia. That is the most stupid movie, but I remember I went almost every day to the cinema to see it. And I was crying. I couldn't laugh, but it was light-headed, right? And people were laughing in the salon. So doing things, pressing myself to try to get out of that. And little by little, it's like because it's a false image we get.
Wow.
So when you start to see a little bit that, in the darkest room, you just take just a little light, you see it. So little by little, it went. Well, it took 8 years to come to the level of awareness that I am today, but it starts with one decision and do a little bit every day.
Wow. I want to segue with what Victoria just said. I want the audience to take notes on this, because she just said some beautiful stuff. Okay, first, she radically accepted where she was. Then she had to make a decision, and she kind of broke up decide, 2 words. In the Latin, decision means break from. So when you decide, you break from something. Okay, so you have to decide and cut it and let go. Okay, that's what I did. All right. And I asked her, so how did you do that? She gave us some coping skills: walking, eating right, getting help, sitting in silence, mindfulness, take baby steps. Such beautiful things, but so easy to do. So if you are living and challenged with a mental health or a suicide ideation, anything like that, it's not easy. It does get easier, because I needed to do that. And I am recovered to a point. Am I 100%? Hell no, I'm not. However, I was in the deepest state of depression and anxiety, and I did exactly what Victoria just had rattled off. So we learn, we're both teachers and students at the same time, guys. So learn from what we were saying, and you probably heard it before, but what I almost can guarantee is going on out there in the world, people are too busy to work on themselves. It's too tough. It's too hard because you got a lot of stuff going on and you don't want to do it. And I'm also taking medication. So I throw the medications in there, but it's not number one, right? What do you feel about medication, Victoria, in the recovery or within the whole process?
Well, I will say that I have had clients that they were suicidal, and then of course go and take medication. I mean, I don't want anybody to die, because actually nobody wants to die. What people want is stop suffering, right? But they don't know how. So if you are in that place where you are absolutely feel no way, you don't have anything or go for, and you don't manage to go out of bed, please go to your doctor and take medication. But
Right.
it's just that is only, I tried to, put it one day to a client that I had, and he laughed, and it was the first time that he laughed, because I told him something very brutal, but it was very funny because I tried to make him laugh, and I said, well, yes, go and take your medication, but remember that this is like you put a best shirt and you have not taken a shower over 1 month, and you try to get a girl in bed.
Right.
And he was laughing, because it's just, okay, it's not the remedy, it's a short solution. And I would like to say, Jeff, for those that are sitting there and say, yeah, well, it's too easy for you to say. No, it's not so easy for me to say. I know very well. I was more than 20 years suicidal. The first thing is, I would say, you get good help, good mental help is the best thing, because it is always a reason. We don't get out of the vagina of our mother and we say, oh, I am so depressed. No way, Jose. Nobody comes to the world like that. There are things that are happening, and that's why we were talking to start with, Jeff. We get an ego, we get bounded because we don't get the contact that we need. We are emotionally beings when we come to the world, and very vulnerable, and we need proper care. But we have mothers and fathers that they are suffering themselves, and so on and so on. So the first thing is to get to know, why do I feel like this? Accept it. Accept it is number one. First, a decision. Afterwards, know and recognize that you have it. Second is to accept it. And third is to integrate it. Don't judge yourself. Don't blame others. Take responsibility.
Right.
Because what happened is that was I took first a decision, because many people, you say, maybe they don't want to work with themselves. Well, I would say that they don't know anything else, and they get something out of complaining and feeling victims, because it's a victimized way. This is happening to me, I cannot do anything. That is not true. Everybody can choose. Absolutely. I see that somebody wants to talk to you. But people, some they don't want to change because they get what they need. We do, I will say something very important. We do what we do because we always out of love, always. Even the most terrible things that you will see in the world, people do it because they think that they get something out of it.
Right.
So when we are complaining and feeling miserable, well, that is better than to feel completely alienated, that they feel that people are listening to them and blah, blah, blah. They don't know nothing better.
Right, right. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but I have to step back and say that could be a generalization, though. Some people don't feel like they do this for attention and they're not victim to their disease.
No, some of them, I say, some of them.
Yeah, some of them, right, absolutely. What is a message maybe you can leave with these, to our audience, with what you just said? Get off of it, You know,
No, no,
no,
absolutely
no,
no.
no. So, well, here, just hear me out for a minute. When I went, oh, I wanted to say first that you had mentioned it. Depression and anxiety are normal emotions. Everybody, the 7.9 billion people on this earth, every one of those people have experienced those emotions. We have. Tell me one person who hasn't been depressed. However, the depression you and I are talking about is chronic. It goes for more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 years, 5 months, whatever it may be. And it always comes back, perhaps, if you don't take the proper steps. But the message maybe that I would tell the audience right after what you had just said, what do you think would be a short message so they get it? And they may have gotten it, but I have to be a little, I'm going to be a little rough and say who's gotten it and who hasn't gotten it, because typically it's right in front of your face.
Well, I will say that people that continue saying but because they just want to make excuses. So, and it's okay. It's full respect for everybody, and everybody is in a different level of awareness, right? That's absolutely. And I will say that nobody does something, like I said, everything we do with love, just on purpose to hurt himself or herself or others. No way. It's always a reason. So I go back to what I said a little bit as a joke, that when we are born, we are not depressed. It comes because of emotions and fear, because fear is the opposite of love. And when you don't feel loved or accepted, that you feel the norm fear or abandonment, that you are not good enough, then is when you get these negative emotions and they start to grow, right? And that is the chronic depression. So that's why I said, get help so you understand where is this coming from, because understanding gives power. Then you can do something about it. If you know something, you can change it.
Right.
And what you said that everybody at some point of life, they have felt depressed. Well, I would say that depression is not the same as suffering. Everybody we are suffering around in our life. My dog died and I was crying my eyes out 1 week, right? But it's not suffering, it's pain, because pain is part of life. We are born with pain and we die normally with pain.
No, that's true.
But my suffering is what causes depression,
Right.
because we don't integrate the acceptance of life.
Right. So what that tells me, and we've heard this before, you've heard it, I've heard it, and everyone who's listening, that suffering is optional. Pain is inevitable. And that is the beauty of life, is when maybe you have to suffer to get ahead. You have to suffer to take the next step, to get out of something that's not right. Your body, when you're suffering, let me keep it first person. When I'm suffering, I know I need to do something. I need to take action, right? And when I take action, and I'll use Victoria's word, and I become responsible for my actions, right? Take responsibility, be accountable for yourself. It takes work. Things start to happen. A lot of things start to happen. When I was in my worst state, one of the reasons why, some of the triggers that kept me there, was two things. I thought that I wasn't good enough and that I would never be loved. Those two things really caused a problem for me, that I'm not good enough. No matter where I am, personally, financially, it doesn't matter. And this is the kicker, that I would never be loved. Oh my gosh, that really hit my heart. What do you think of that?
Well, I know absolutely what you are thinking and what you are saying, because that was exactly what I was saying to myself.
Right.
And I remember when you said that, it came absolutely, because what I said is, we had to know why, we had to accept it, we had to integrate it, but we never forget it. So when you said that, the first thing that I heard in my head was the voice of my mommy saying to me, you are a monster. You are going to be and do everybody around you miserable.
Wow.
And I was maybe 4, and I never forget it.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the bottom line. When I understood that my mommy was a poor child, 3 years old, when her mother died, and that she didn't know better, when I started to forgive myself, not to be perfect, then I started to forgive herself, and then everything started to integrate. What I forgot to say before, and I would like to say it because it's
Sure.
so important, is to remember that thoughts and memories are not real.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
So laugh about yourself. And people say, yeah, how? I had a client actually on Tuesday, and she told me, yeah, but how do I do it when they are just coming? And I said to her, use thankfulness. Can you be thankful for something in your body? Are you thankful that you see? And you know what she said? No. I cannot get in contact with that feeling. And then I told her, I gave her a vine, and I put it on her eyes, and I said, I want you to go home with that on, and don't take it away on 24 hours. And then come back and tell me you are not grateful.
right.
So what do I say with this is that don't believe your thoughts. They are hinged in something that happened many years ago. So is this possible? I told you before that I was making fun about that I was going to the movies with see Mamma Mia. Do something. Stand up on the sofa. Don't lay down on bed and eat chips and cola, and put hip hop and start to dance.
Right.
Try your life out, my God, and say to yourself, this is just bullshit. This is not true.
Right. Thoughts and memories are not real, guys. And for the longest time in my coaching and my guiding, I've used this many times. I've had to think about it, that we all, as humans, we all have thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We all have that. However, we are not our thoughts, feelings, and our behaviors. And Victoria just nailed it. She just confirmed my thinking. And I bet a lot of people out there are thinking as well on those levels, because, fear and false, it could be a false positive type of feeling when you're thinking and you're looking at things and you go, no, that's not right. That's not, I don't feel that. It ain't going to be that way. So because of the time, this has been a great podcast, a great discussion. Leave us with something for the audience, Victoria, before we ask you, what's going on in your life? Where can we get a hold of you? What's your next project, if you have anything? What are your last words?
Well, I am thinking, because I know how desperate people are and how black is when you are in the middle of the tunnel. So don't despair. Just ask yourself, because I did that with myself 20 years ago. What is the worst that can happen? I could die. Yeah, okay. That's what you want. What is the problem? So minimize the drama, and ask yourself, okay, if nobody is loving me, I can be alone. And if I am not good enough, to the hell with it. I mean, do what you have to step up on that.
Right.
And of course, do all the other positive things, like we mentioned before. We don't have to go there. So I will say, don't take yourself so serious. Do what you need to do.
Right. Don't beat yourself up.
Don't punish yourself. Don't drink. Don't take drugs. Don't. Go with people that they are gifted for you and toxic. Do the proper things, and little by little have faith. And on the end of the ad, you say, well, what else can happen? I feel miserable. Well, let's try this. What do I have to lose?
Faith is a big one for me. Thank you for saying that, especially at the end of the year and the holiday season. Faith, it definitely conquers for me. Even though it's hard, I have faith that things will work out. If we want to get a hold of you, we want to call you, we want to get to your email, we want to go to give us some information. How do we get
I love to get in contact with people and help. I really mean it, because it gives me so much joy and pleasure. And I am very egoist. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
So you find me in Facebook under my name, Victoria Christensen. And I have also my website that is V Christensen. V Christensen, CHRISTENSEN.
What's the first part of it? Ver?
V as Victor.
Oh, V. Okay. Okay.
V Christensen.
Okay.
.net.
Okay.
NET. That is my website, and that's where they can contact me. And I have also an email that is victoria.christensen535@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Just so you know, audience, that along with this podcast, I'm going to post some show notes, and I'm going to write all this down. So when you're listening, you'll get those in the show notes as well, with a description of the talk and what this is all about. Ending this, I'd like to say thank you, Victoria, deeply, deeply for stepping in and taking time out of your day all the way from Norway. Oh my gosh, what time is it over there?
Now is, okay, it says 6:30.
In the evening.
In the evening, yes.
Yeah.
And you are in New York? You are in New York?
Yeah, we're in New Jersey, 12:30.
So you are 12:30, right?
12:30, yeah. But
And Jeff, I want to say that the pleasure is mine.
And we're gonna have you on again. But I also want to say thank you to our dear audience for joining us, for taking part, for listening, for taking notes, for maybe taking this podcast and sharing it with your community, because we want to build. I want you to go to our broadcasting station, mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com, mentalnewsradionetwork.com, and then go under Radical Acceptance, and you will find this podcast amongst a bunch of others. We've had some amazing guests and people coming on and giving us their point of view. If you want to get a hold of me, you can go to Jeff at Rome like the city, rometraining.com. You can go to my Facebook group, which is Corporate Crazies in an Imperfectly Perfect World. You have my website, which is rometraining.com. And I'll even give you my phone number at 908-906.
Yes, I will write in the chat mine, so you can give it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I will write Victoria's as well. And again, thank you so much. Happy New Year. All the best to everybody. Have a great ending. Be safe. And we'll see you in 2023. Bye.
And bye-bye.
Yeah, you wanted to say one last thing?
Well, I wanted to say the last word, that is, Happy New Year. And remember, you are creating today the day tomorrow.
Wonderful. I love that. That's a great ending. All right. See you guys. Bye.